Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 5, which is an introduction to machine learning. So to quickly go over what we're going to be talking about, today's lesson, we're going to start off with an introduction to machine learning. We'll then move on to linear regression and finally end with k-nearest neighbors. So let's first start off by saying what machine learning is. So machine learning essentially refers to the 10 techniques for finding patterns in data and using them to draw inferences or to make predictions in the future. So for example, if we look at a user's viewing history, we want to ask ourselves what websites would interest them. So in order to answer this question, we'll be building a model that is created using training, and this model is going to help us make predictions based on the past data that we've seen. And the 7 steps to machine learning are gathering data, preparing data, choosing a model, training, evaluation, parameter tuning, and prediction. So let's move on to the first step. This is going to be gathering data. So before we can actually make our predictions, we'll first have to gather the data that we'll be using to do so. And something that's really important to keep in mind is that the higher the quantity and quality of the data, the more accurate your predictions will end up being. And in this step, we're going to be gathering and organizing data into a table that can be manipulated and used for training. Now, the second step is preparing the data. So in order to prepare the data for training, we first want to clean the data. So for example, we can remove any duplicate values, fix any errors, fill in no values or something of that sort, and just to make sure everything is consistent. We could also randomize the data, so we could shuffle the order to prevent any sort of bias. If the data was, for example, ordered alphabetically or numerically, we can also visualize the data. So we could create some visualizations on different variables to see if there's any imbalances within the data. And then the last thing we can do is split the data, which was going to be done or put into a training set. And that's what we're going to be using to build the data or build the model. And then finally, an evaluation set that's going to be used to see how well our model performs in the third step, which is when we actually want to choose a model. So this is our training set, and training set used to train your algorithm. Testing set, evaluate how accurate the model is after it is trained. So our third step is choosing a model. And in this step, we're going to want to choose a model that's best suited for your data. So essentially right now, there's a lot of different models out there that data science has created in the past. And we need to find one that's best suited for our data set or best suited to answer our question. So maybe some sort of models are better for numerical values and some are better for categorical data or text-based data. And each model has a different purpose. So you want to make sure that you choose a model that's best suited for the question that you're trying to answer. And for models with a linear relationship between two variables, like linear is usually one of the most ideal models to be used. And we're going to be talking about that later on in this lesson.